Oh, Koya. I'm a little bit unique in that I grew up in the South, the southern part of the United States, in a period of time that not very many of us are proud of in the United States, but it was a period that was we call segregation, when people were segregated or separated by race. And it was a very difficult time for our nation. But I went through elementary school, junior high school in that environment, and knowing at that time that there were certain things that I would probably never have an opportunity to do. One of those was go to space. I never dreamed of being an astronaut because of the conditions when I was growing up. But fortunately for me, my mom and dad really, who were teachers, by the way, always encouraged me to do the three things that I tell kids all the time. Study really hard, work really hard, and don't ever give up on yourself. Don't ever be afraid of failure. And I did that going through school. Never dreamed of flying airplanes. In fact, said I would never do that. Definitely did not dream of going to space. And it wasn't because I didn't know about astronauts. You know, I used to go to the theater on Saturdays and look at Buck Rogers, who went to the moon and went to Mars and went all other kinds of places. And I admired that, but I was never fooling myself. I didn't think I could do that. When I went to the United States Naval Academy and got my college education, several things happened that changed my plans for life. I tell people all the time, you make your plans for life and then life happens. When I went to the Naval Academy, I was going to go on a ship and be a sailor, going to be an officer in the Navy. I met an incredible human being who was my first company officer at the Naval Academy, who was a Marine. He changed my mind, and so I decided I wanted to be a Marine like him. After becoming a Marine officer, I later found out that I really didn't like crawling around in the mud and that there was something better I could do. And my wife encouraged me to go to flight school. And I said, I don't really want to do that. I'm not interested in that. She said, take the chance. And I listened to my wife, and we went to Pensacola, Florida. Very first time I got in an airplane and took off, it was just incredible. I could not believe how exciting it was. And I couldn't believe that this was something that I was going to deny myself just because I didn't have the courage to apply. So I did. I finished flight school, did relatively well. Later went on to become a test pilot in the Naval Service, and then subsequently from there I met a man by the name of Dr. Ron McNair, who is an absolutely incredible human being, who was one of the Challenger crew members that we lost in the 1986 loss of Challenger. But Ron talked to me and actually embarrassed me into applying for the space program. He asked me if I was going to apply, I told him, not on your life. And he said, why not? I said, well, they'd never pick me. And he looked at me and he said, that's the dumbest thing I ever heard. He said, how do you know? How do you know that they won't pick you unless you ask? So my message to you would be, you can overcome any adversity if you're willing to take the chance, if you're willing to take the risk. But you've really got to prepare yourself. You've got to study really, really, really hard. Get to the point that you feel you're the expert on whatever the topic happens to be, and then go for it. If you fail the first few times, who cares? Keep going at it, keep going at it, keep going at it until you persist. So failure has been, I think, a very important part of my life, because my lesson has been that when I fail at something, it really causes me to think about it, go back, refocus my efforts to study and get better prepared, and then come back in. So study hard, work hard, and just don't let failure keep you from doing things that you want to do.